Hello and welcome. Now, if you're watching this program, chances are you're able to do so because you have electricity. Yes, very important factor in our lives. Now, recently, there have been some very important changes and news regarding the electricity generation in our country. And so you don't have to deal with the rumors. I have people here with me today who are actually going to take us through the facts of what is happening regarding this very important element in our lives. And to my immediate right, I have Pierre Silva, and Pierre is the Public Relations Officer for Nawec. That's the National Water and Electricity Company. Pierre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Drame.
Thank you. And to my left, I have Yankuba Mambure, and he is the Country Manager for Car Powership. Now, most of us have become aware of Car Powership and what they do, and here and in Sierra Leone, where they sort of anchor off the coast and they provide electricity generation. Well, Pierre, if I can come to you first of all, there is some very important news that we want to get out to everybody regarding some of the changes that are happening. And I just wondered if you could just give us a brief as to what those changes are.
Thank you, Mr. Drame. The reason for coming here is to have an interface with our customers and to tell them what are some of the recent changes that we want to embark on together with our partners,
Sure.
which is Car Power. They have bought in some new machines, a ship together with 2 brand new engines,
Sure.
and they want to do some installation. And that being the reason, there is going to be some interruption
Sure.
in the power supply during that period. It's going to be something like 36 hours beginning today or late in the night, that is 03:00 a.m. That is Sunday, and it will last for 36 hours. This is why we also deem it very, very important to talk to the Gambians, to our customers, that we need to be prepared for this, because if you are knocking out 30 megawatts
Sure.
from the grid,
Sure.
it's going to create some sort of some interruptions, and there will be no electricity supply in some areas, especially in the Greater Banjul area.
Right.
So this is why we are here to tell them that this is some sort of doing some development in terms of what Car Power is doing.
Sure.
You would see that they are definitely doing a lot in our case to develop from or get away from the problems that we have with electricity.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, Yankuba, if I could turn to you, you're the Country Manager for Car Powership. Before we get into the specifics of what's going to happen, because Pierre has actually told us some of that already, I wonder if you could just give our viewers a kind of something about the relationship between Car Powership and the Gambian government and Nawec specifically as your partners.
Thank you, Mr. Drame. I would also want to thank Mr. Silva and also thank the viewers for their time. Car Powership, the relationship between Car Powership and the Gambia started in 2018, officially from February of 2018, and officially we started operations in the country in May of 2018.
Right.
That is over 2 years now. Our ability to use our state-of-the-art technology, which is one of a kind, is unique in the world. There's no company like us. There's no company in the world doing what we do, using what we call floating powership to provide electricity, which gives us the ability to do a quick fix to any country that needs electricity. So as a result, we use that technology between the time that an agreement was signed and the time that we came into the country and started generating power. In fact, on average, wherever in the world is about 60 days. So that's why when we signed in February, by the beginning of May, specifically on the 5th of May 2018, we started operations in the country. So our relationship with Nawec has been great. We've been working very cordially, and we have a team. In fact, before COVID, we used to have our teams together on the Powership, and we used to have it as the control center for all the activities as far as electricity is concerned. So our relationship is very good, and we want to express our gratitude to the government of the Gambia, to Nawec, our partner, and also to the Gambian nation for enabling us the opportunity to come here and serve the people.
Sure. Now, you mentioned that it was a quick fix, and in the intro I mentioned that Car Powership had also been in Sierra Leone, which is where I'm from.
That's right.
Quick fix, but how long are we expecting Car Powership to be around? Are we allowed to know that, or is that
in the country here? Yes, you can know. In fact, initially we signed a 2-year agreement, and that has expired last May, and we renewed for another 2 years, starting last May. So that means the contract will go up to 2022.
Okay.
But I want to take the opportunity to say we are not only in Sierra Leone, we are in Senegal, giving them 120 megawatts, which in fact they want to increase, hopefully in the next few months, to around 200 megawatts. We are in Guinea-Conakry, 125, they also want to increase it.
Nice.
We are in Guinea-Bissau. Ghana, we are giving them like almost 15 times as Gambia. We're giving them 549 megawatts in Ghana. We are in Mozambique, we are in Zambia, we are in Iraq, we are in Sudan, we are in Indonesia, all the way to Cuba.
Sure.
So
yes, I had a look on the website.
because of the technology,
Sure.
the demand is really high on us. Yeah, and I think it's a very good opportunity that we are here. Hopefully, we'll be able to do what we do well. We are known to do around the globe.
Great.
Yes.
Now, Pierre Yankoba has given us a really good insight into how Powership, who they are and what they do. And you've actually started by trying to allay some of the fears of people, because really when this was announced, you know, people love rumors and they start kind of making up stuff. So I just wonder whether you could amplify on that point about, you know, the interruptions that they would get, and if possible, to be specific about the areas that would be affected, because people have been making, you've mentioned sort of Greater Banjul and so on, but people have been making up stories that aren't seemingly based on any knowledge of the facts.
Yeah, the problem we have is we have been saying this capacity deficit. The peak period demand will be something like 72 megawatts during the night when everybody needs electricity. So at the moment when we are able to stabilize some of our power stations, which is Koto and Brikama, we are able to generate cumulatively together with car power something like 85 megawatts. Right. So if 30 is knocked out of that 85 as a result of the replacement that they are doing, so we are talking of having something like 50, which is going to have a deficit of 10 or 15 megawatts. So that being the case, I think it is important that we tell people that we are going into this. It is important because these guys have been doing a lot for us. Without them, Nawec would have been, you know, into nightmare. So what we are saying is the entire Greater Banjul will have some interruptions, because our system is built in such a way that you cannot tell where your supply is coming from. Right. Car power together with Koto power station, together with Brikama power station, they synchronize. Right. And when they generate electricity, it's sent to the national grid, and it is that grid that we use to send electricity to the end users. Right. So you cannot tell. You may be in Brikama where your supply is coming from car power or is coming from Koto. Right. So we have synchronized, and when they generate electricity, sent to a bus bar, and we do the distribution. So we are saying in the next 36 hours, we are not saying the entire GBA will be out, but we will be having a deficit of power. And then when we have this deficit, we will be doing what we call load shedding. Some areas in the Greater Banjul area will be knocked out of the grid. Right. And that our engineers, our people, our field workers will determine. Because apart from generation, apart from the capacity that we evacuate from the power stations, we are also grappling with the situation of T&D infrastructure.
If I can just pick you up on a point, you mentioned load shedding, and I must admit, when a broadcast went out about what was happening and people heard load shedding, they started kind of panicking. But there's no need to panic, surely, is there? No.
Load shedding has been ongoing prior to this activity that we're coming to embark on. It's like some areas, when we don't have the required capacity at a particular point in time, especially during the peak period, we do knock out some areas for some time. And I think our load shedding period will be something like 6 hours. Let's say if this area is knocked out of the grid for 6 hours, then it will come on, and then the other one will come on. But the problem that we have, as I said, apart from the activity that we are going to embark on, we do have some transmission and distribution infrastructure problem. We have some transformers that are overloaded. The demand is high on that area, but we don't have a choice. We have to, connect them on the transformer. And sometimes during the peak period, we disconnect some of the feeder to make sure that we stabilize the transformer, because these engines, the way they are manufactured, if you overload them, they can trip off. And when they trip off, they can demand a lot of financial input to make them running again. So what we are saying is car power has given us a schedule, and it's going to be 36 hours according to them. But we are also pushing to say they can fast track, and they are making sure that they expedite the quick work on what they are doing to make the replacement, so that maybe before 36 hours they would have been ready.
Which gives it nicely to throw it over to you, Mr. Yankuma Mambure. You've been asked if you can fast track, but I think you've given 36 hours because you don't want to give any kind
That's
of false
right.
promises.
That's true.
But nonetheless, people need to be reassured,
That's
and they
right.
need to be. So I just
right.
wondered if you could just tell us some of the sort of technicalities of what's involved in what's going to be happening.
Yeah, it's a lot of movement that's going to happen. That's why we need the power to switch off from the Powership at 3 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, we have
That's
we have a
3
schedule.
a.m. On
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
That means tonight when we sleep,
Yes,
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Yeah, they'll go ahead and switch off.
Oh.
And then the power will be disconnected from the Powership to the Nawec line, to the grid.
Sure.
So when that happens, our engineers on the new Powership will be ready, and the other ones on the current one also will be ready. These ones will have to disconnect so that the current Powership will float out of the area,
Sure.
and then the new one will come. The interesting thing about the new one that is coming is it's a 2-in-1. If you go to the Powership right now, you see that there are 2 ships, Powerships. We call one Korabe, Canadian Powership Korabe, and the other one is called Farouk Bay.
Sure.
So Korabe is the generating Powership.
Sure.
It's the one that generates power. And then Farouk Bay is the transformer ship. But the good thing is now we're going to take all these 2 out. Only one is coming in, which has 2-in-1. It's called Gokta Bay. Gokta Bay is the one that is coming. So it is 2-in-1. It has its own transformer on board.
Okay.
So our technicians, they are very familiar with this kind of job. All these countries that we go to, this is something they've been doing all the time. In fact, as we speak, you saw me with one of our guests here. I have plenty of them in the country, and some are arriving tonight.
Right.
Yes, so that's what's going on.
Okay. Now, just again, some further background on the names kind of give away.
Yeah.
The company is Turkish.
It's Turkish, yes.
It's Turkish. And one of the things that I was trying to get my head around, I went on the website and I was trying to look, how do you link up with the existing grid? How is that done, the link up with the existing grid?
It's very visible. If you go to the big site,
Right.
you'll see a big, a tall tower there.
Right.
And you'll see transmission lines going to the Powership. That's how we connect it. So at this point, the connection is made from the generating Powership, which is Korabe,
Sure.
to that of Farouk Bay, and from Farouk Bay, the transmission line goes to the tower,
Right.
and that's what is connects it to Nawec,
right.
all the way to Bone Road, and then it comes to the grid.
Sure.
So the same thing is going to happen. The good thing about this work is we don't have to do anything with the lines as far as the tower is concerned.
Which is what I was.
Only the connection from the tower to the Powership. That's what we'll take care of.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks
Yes.
for that.
Okay.
Now, Pierre, Yankuba mentioned about up to 2022, not in terms of extending the contract, but is there any thought given to extending the reach in terms of what they can provide? I mean, because there are many areas, I'm quite surprised, even in 2020, we go and people say, we've never had electricity. And I just wondered whether what Car Powership are doing and what you are doing, because I know Nawec are also extending and building new. I mean, are they involved in that at all?
No. When the new government came in, I think they have looked at the performance of Nawec for over 80 years.
Sure.
And they've come to realize that for Gambia to become a viably economic country, they need to look at the electricity sector.
Yeah.
So this was why they brought in World Bank with some other development partners to come up with a roadmap. And according to the roadmap, some of those things is to either use the generating power stations and also green energy and a lot of other things. But as we speak, we have a lot of projects, and we are doing some extensions in the rural areas. Of course, we're going to need adequate capacity to be able to put everybody on board.
Sure.
Just recently, we had just finished, electrifying Kiang, and we are also going to other parts, even the Combos. So many villages in the Combos are part of the Indian project.
Sure.
So we need additional capacity. So I think government together with Nawec are also looking at what is going to happen in the future. When these areas are energized, there's going to be some additional demand on the existing capacity that we have. So we are also talking with them to see that at the end of their contract, if there is need for us to extend the contract and also get a bigger capacity, because they're only giving 30 megawatts, I think that will do. But as we speak, we also have some projects. Honestly, we have to say this. We have some projects. The OIC is giving us a project. The French government is giving us a project. We have 2 other projects from the World Bank, and we are developing those projects. Right. And they are all geared towards trying to to do an extensive work and try to extend the grid to everywhere of this country, because we are also we have also made to known that we have this universal access to electricity by 2030, and that Gambia is not an exception. The OMVG is also coming. Very soon we will commission that project in the next 1 or 2 years. So we are pretty sure that when all these projects are completed, we will need copper, of course, because without copper for the past 2-3 years, it would have been a very big, severe problem for Nawec. Definitely, we were struggling until when copper came in. And up to now, we need their service. This is why when they told us they have some new machines and all that, they're going to do some replacement, we said we have to take aggressive sensitization to tell people that this is what is happening. But I am sure 36 hours will be only one day from 12 hours. So, and it's going to fall during the weekend. We are sure by Monday in the afternoon, they should have been able to run it. The only activity is to evacuate the current ship and then bring in the other one and then do the connections. So we are pretty sure that 36 hours will be enough for them to do the job and get away from it.
Yankuba, a slightly left field question, and I hope it's... okay. I'm just wondering, in terms of skills, passing on skills, are there many Gambians? Are there any Gambians who are working directly with the crew that come with these ships in order to pick up certain skills? Skills transfer. Is any of that happening?
Currently, we have an office which is onshore, and then we do have offices also on the Powership.
Right.
We have Gambians who are working on board different sectors, and we are also working with a partner company whose engineers are also working with us all the time. And we do have plans. I'm not aware of the specific requests, but during some of our meetings with Nawec, that in case they need certain kind of training, they should inform us, and we'll see how we can accommodate that. Because in Istanbul, we have a very big a shipyard where we have so many engineers, where we believe there could be so much skills transfer. Of course, it's not only here, but if the need be, they could even go to Ghana. There was a time that I traveled with 2 staff of Nawec to Ghana. So those things are possibilities, yes.
Now, if one of the things that's always intrigued me is the kind of when you contract with these governments of all the countries that you've mentioned, and I'm sure you even left out some. How does it come? Do you make the approach, or do the governments tend to approach you, or does it differ?
It's either way, but mostly the demand, as I said, for electricity is very high around the globe. It's a highly capital-intensive venture.
Of course.
And for us, the kind of technology we have, as we speak, there are several ships that are ready, and some are being constructed. You know, I think up to like 5,000 megawatts are out there, ready to be given out to whoever demands. So, but the demand is so high that it's very hard, because as we speak, places like Ivory Coast, you know, Mali, if Mali is landlocked, it's a bit difficult, but they still need our service, and so many other countries, not only in Africa, but in Asia, South America, etc. The demand is ready. There's a long list of countries that are calling out. Yes. Yes.
Now, Pierre, you mentioned this. You know, people are always interested when they hear that Nawec has several projects. You mentioned there are several projects that are ongoing, and I just wondered if you could take 1 or 2 or 3 and kind of elaborate on them and the differences once those projects are completed that they will make on people's lives. Because, you know, electricity generation, water, of course, which also comes under Nawec, and you know, these are things that people are concerned about. And they see and they hear about all these projects, but they always want to personalize it. They say, well, what is the difference it's going to make to me and my life?
Yeah, as I said, we have many projects. We are developing some, and others are already under implementation. One outstanding one is in the Indian project. These are funds from the Indian government, and it's for both water and electricity. Each of them is 25 million US dollars. Already that project is electrifying something almost 60 villages. Right from the Kombos to the Kiangs. and works are almost completed. For the Kiang is already energized. Some few weeks ago we went there to do some sensitization. Our commercial department are currently there doing some applications. What we did is we had an office built in a van, then we send our guys to Kiang, and then we assemble them at one point, and then they would come and do on-the-spot application. We have a team of surveyors. If you apply, they go to your premise and do the survey. You pay the application fee, you pay the invoice. For them, because of their financial input and all because we know those people in the rural areas are struggling with life. So we ask them to pay only 5,000. Right. You know, unlike in the combos where you pay 6,500. And then what we're doing is we are now assembling the meters for those who have already paid. The same ambulance, the same van with our technicians will go and then get them connected. Now with water, you see in the Greater Banjul area, we're really struggling. Yeah, because I think we have a deficit of something like 70% of water. So this is why in most cases on our social media people ask a lot of questions, and many people will wake up very late in the night to look for water simply because we don't have adequate supply to give everybody at the same time.
I'm glad you mentioned about social media and people asking questions, because when people knew that this was, they said, can you ask them, and it's kind of the question I just asked you about what difference will it make to people's lives, and people wanted to know about timetables and timelines and the projects you've mentioned. I mean, when are some of those supposed to end?
Yeah, the Indian project, the electricity part of it, we are pretty sure that maybe by December we will commission that. The water part, I think, is almost 90% completed because we've drilled 10, 11 boreholes. We have connected the transmission lines to those boreholes because, of course, we need electricity to evacuate water from the boreholes to the treatment plants. That has been done. We have laid the pipes. Even if you look at the Fajaras, the Bakaus, etc., they are laying pipes. They are also going to new greenfield areas in the combos where they are laying pipes. They have already completed that. We are building 2 treatment plants. One is an annex treatment plant in Sukuta, then a new one in Jambur. We are doing the connections. Even yesterday, we are doing some sort of commissioning of some boreholes because of the pressure that we have and the demand we have from our customers. Now management has decided that we commission a few of them so to boost the production of water to the end users, and that we are doing recently. But we are sure by January the entire project of water would have been completed. Yes.
So something, something to look forward. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, and we also have another project which is financed by the World Bank. It's a solar project, which is about 20 megawatts in Jambur. We've started doing the compensation because, you know, World Bank, their projects are not easy to come by, and sometimes they come with a lot of requirements. So there are certain things that you need to put in place before they start the disbursement.
That's right.
One of them is you have to compensate. So the area where we've got this land is owned by 2 Kabilos in Jambur. We have to compensate them, and then the corridor from which we are going to do the connection, you know, from Jambur down to Yuna, Labakore to Jabang, where the transformer is going to build, we're going to do the compensation, and that compensation is not coming from the project money. It has to come from central government, which is almost about $60 million. Already we've got an approval of $33 or $36 million, and the disbursement have started. For the landowners, we have already paid them. So the corridor from which the transmission lines are going to run from the solar to Sukuta, to Jabang at the forest where the transformer is going to build. Now we are doing the assessment so that we can pay them. But we are pretty sure that the disbursement will start soon, and that project will take 2 years to be built.
And Pierre, if I can just apologize, I know we said we were coming to speak about the specifics of what's happening over these 36 hours, but I think our viewers would not have forgiven me if I didn't actually ask you some of those questions. So thank you for taking
it's important and people know
the time to elaborate. If I could come back to you, Yankuba, you know, Car Powership, when you come and you do a project such as this, you partner obviously with the local national electricity company in each country, but what then is your relationship in terms of reporting both to your own company and your shareholders and so on, and the government that you're dealing with? What's that? How does that work?
Okay, as far as the head office is concerned, we have a desk officer who is in charge of this project in Istanbul. That's the lady I work with right now. She's the one representing this project in Istanbul. That's why she is here for this swap operation. The regional director for Africa, I report to him directly. And there are certain reporting requirements that I have to put in, both to our finance department, to our commercial department, to our technical department, those on board the Powership. I'm not a technician, but anytime any technical issue comes up, I know who to contact.
Sure.
Yes, I always have them around. I make sure I have their contacts day and night.
Sure.
And with Nawec, we have a WhatsApp group where all our senior management and those that need to be in that group is there.
Sure.
Constantly, if power goes off, anything that happens, we all see it together.
Sure.
If there is need for anybody to respond from Nawec's side,
sure.
they do. From my side, we also do. And as far as the government is concerned, mostly we report or we deal directly with Nawec.
Sure.
But of course, there are other stakeholders. GMA, we are in water, Gambia Maritime Administration. Sure. GPA, sometimes, in fact, we need their ferries for evacuation of sludge and, and also sewage, etc. So the ferries, at the time that they are not in use, sure. We hire the ferries. Very expensive, but we have to do it. There's no choice about that. And then BCC, they used to collect our garbage. Now we have a new garbage collector. Okay, sure. And then we have PURA, Public Utility Regulatory Authority. Sure. We report to them also. Okay. And then so many GRA, etc. Sure. They're all government agencies that, and also the Ministry of Petroleum, sure. the Ministry of Finance. We constantly deal with all these agencies. Sure. There's a big file for each of them that we deal with.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks for that, Yankuba.
Yeah.
And I must give a final word to you, Pierre, as the Public Relations Officer for Nawec. And I just thought if we could complete the circle by coming back to what we started to talk about, which is this specific project. And I think just to reiterate and kind of allay people's fears about, you know, what's going to happen, and in case anybody's just joined the program and missed the beginning of it, if you could just kind of re-emphasize exactly, and we only have, you know, 30 seconds or so.
My advice would be there is no cause to be panic. This is just 36 hours.
Sure.
And I think we are used to interruptions of electricity for quite a long time. Sure. And thank to God that Car Power has been here, and they really help in stabilizing the electricity situation in this country. Sure. So what we are just telling them is for us to be prepared. But it's not like there's going to be total blackout in the Greater Banjul area. Sure. Only 30 megawatts is out of the 80, 85 existing megawatts. Some areas, not all, will be having some problems. But our advice would be, maybe there would not be even a problem of electricity. Sure. There may be some problem of transmission and distribution. This is why if something unusual is happening, we would advise that they call 1669.
Sure.
1669, somebody will respond, and then Nawec, we have a team that will work overnight to make sure that if there are problems, they can run there and try to fix those problems.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I thought I would give the last word to Pierre Silva. He's the Public Relations Officer for Nawec. And my other guest, Yankuba, I think you have 10 seconds if you can make it that.
I only want to say that we are doing this at no cost to Nawec, but I want to again re-emphasize that we are very grateful for the cordial relationship that we have now with Nawec, and also the Gambia government and the people of Gambia. We are very appreciative of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So yes, thanks again to Yankuba Mambure, who Country Manager for Car Powership, and to Pierre Silva, PRO for Nawec, and to our viewers, thank you for watching. And as they both tried to say to us, nothing to fear, don't worry, it's all being taken care of. Once again, thank you for watching.